Welcome back to the deep dive. You can almost feel that electric energy, can't you? For this week 2 NFL showdown.
Yeah, Sunday Night Football.
Exactly. Picture it. U.S. Bank Stadium, packed, roaring, the lights blazing. You've got the Minnesota Vikings riding high after that, dramatic comeback win in week 1.
Thrilling finish.
And then the Atlanta Falcons looking to bounce back after a tough opener.
Right, they need a win.
So this isn't just, a basic game preview. We're doing a strategic breakdown, pulling right from our sources.
Yeah.
Looking at how this aggressive Vikings defense and, the Falcons' new offensive energy might just decide everything.
It's a fascinating clash of styles.
Our mission today, unpack the key strategies, the player matchups you need to watch, and some really surprising stats that show a clear path for Minnesota.
And what it means early season for both teams.
And for the Vikings, it really feels like so much starts with their defensive coordinator, Brian Flores.
It does. What's really fascinating here, and the sources laid out so clearly, is how specific Atlanta's offensive vulnerabilities look after week 1.
Okay.
And it's almost like Flores's defensive playbook was, custom built to hit those weak spots. It really sets up a great strategic battle.
Okay, let's start right there then.
Yeah.
Falcons QB Michael Pennix Jr.
Yeah.
On paper, 298 yards in his debut against Tampa Bay. Sounds pretty good.
Looks solid, yeah.
But digging deeper, the Real Forno show gives a, let's say, more critical take. They expose some mechanical things, flaws, and his vulnerability to pressure.
Which is key.
Yeah, this is only his 5th career start, right?
Yeah.
And the sources talk about inconsistencies, like his base being too tight or too wide sometimes, and how that messes with accuracy.
That's exactly it. It's not just about the final yardage number, it's what's underneath.
Right.
When that base gets too tight, he can't rotate properly, loses power, throws sail high, too wide, and it's harder to shift weight quickly, especially against pressure, affects accuracy. These aren't like tiny issues. They create predictable problems. And that's what Brian Flores jumps on. He's identified a clear target.
So how does Flores target that? We know he's aggressive.
Extremely. Sources consistently point to his blitz rates somewhere between, say, 49 and 55%. But it's not just sending guys randomly. He uses these MAZ disguises.
MAZ disguises.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like something out of a spy novel. What does that actually mean on the field? How does it mess with a young QB like Penix?
Yeah, well, think of it like this. It's about deception. They show one look before the snap, maybe a bunch of DBs near the line or linebackers looking like they're coming.
Right.
But then post-snap, those guys might drop back and totally different players rush. The whole point is to confuse the offensive line's protection calls.
Oh, okay.
Make it impossible for Penix to know for sure where the heat is coming from. It creates chaos in his processing. He's trying to read a picture, and Flores wants to just blur that picture completely.
So rattle him, force mistakes, turnovers.
Exactly. Turn those mechanical things you mentioned into big, game-changing errors.
And this ties right into the Vikings D-line, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because the sources said Atlanta's O-line really struggled with stunts last week.
They did. Led to bad handoffs, clean hits on Penix. Not what you want for a young QB.
No. And the Real Forno show mentioned using guys like Jonathan Greenard and Dallas Turner as loopers.
Yeah.
What's a looper, and why is that effective here?
Okay, so a looper runs an inside stunt. Instead of going around the edge rusher loops inside.
Okay.
Often behind a defensive tackle who crashes out or engages the guard, creating a sort of delayed, unexpected rush lane right up the middle or in the B gap.
Gotcha.
And if Atlanta's line struggled passing off basic stunts last week, like the sources say, these looping games could be a nightmare for them.
Because Greenard and Turner have that quickness.
Exactly. Their explosiveness, their agility lets them exploit those quick gaps that open up. It means pressure isn't just coming from the edge, it's coming from inside too. Penix could be seeing pressure from everywhere if they can't handle it.
Okay, so Flores is scheming for Penix. But you absolutely cannot forget Bijan Robinson.
No way.
He was dynamic in week 1, right? 6 catches, 100 yards, a touchdown through the air. He's clearly central to what Atlanta wants to do.
He is. That receiving production was huge. But there's another side to it in the 3 ways the Vikings can beat the Falcons piece.
Okay, what's the counter?
While he was great as a receiver, Tampa Bay actually did a pretty decent job bottling up the run game. Robinson and Allgeier averaged less than 2.5 yards per carry.
Really? Only 24 rushing yards each?
Yeah, combined. And maybe even more telling, Atlanta struggles on short yardage. They only converted 1 out of 4 tries on 3rd or 4th and 1 or 1st and goal. And they actually lost yardage on those plays overall, -2 yards.
Wow. That suggests they couldn't get that push when they really needed it.
Exactly. It shows a potential weakness in execution, and that's an opportunity for Minnesota's defense.
So it's not about completely shutting Bijan down, because that's maybe impossible. It's about containing him.
Precisely. Calculated containment.
And how does Flores plan to do that, based on the sources? Specific strategy mentioned.
Yeah, the real Forno show details it, using 5-man fronts, often with 3 defensive tackles inside.
3 tackles, okay.
The idea is to just clog up those interior running lanes, force Robinson to bounce runs outside where hopefully your linebackers and safeties are maintaining disciplined angles to meet him.
And that discipline is key, especially with Blake Cashman out on IR.
It is. Cashman would normally be huge there, but the scheme aims to make it more of a collective effort, fill those gaps.
So let him get, say, 85 yards rushing, but don't let him have that monster game-breaking day.
That's the idea. Prevent the monster game that flips the field or breaks the game open. Win the war, maybe not every single battle against him.
And then you've got the receivers, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, big physical guys, 6'5". They excel at using their bodies, match up problems when healthy.
Key phrase, when healthy. And that brings us right to the injury report, which is critical here. Our sources are clear. London and Darnell Mooney are both limited with shoulder issues. Casey Washington's out with a concussion, and now Billy Bowman Jr. has been added with a shoulder too.
That's significant for their passing attack.
Huge. And you combine those limitations with Flores loving his zone coverages. The sources mention about a 55% rate of split field looks and using bracketing schemes. It gets really tough for Penix.
Okay, split field zones, bracketing. Break that down for us. How does that specifically exploit injured receivers?
So split field means you can play different coverages on each half of the field. Let's say London, even limited, lines up on one side.
Yeah.
Flores can decide to bracket him. That means putting 2 defenders on him, maybe a corner underneath, and a safety rolling over the top.
Double coverage, basically.
Essentially, yeah. Takes away that physical advantage, especially if he's not moving at 100%. So for Penix, his top guys are banged up and they're seeing extra defensive attention.
Forcing him into tight windows or looking elsewhere.
Exactly. Higher risk of interceptions or forcing throws to maybe less reliable options. It leverages those injuries directly into creating defensive pressure and potential turnovers.
All right, let's flip sides. The Vikings offense. Rookie QB JJ McCarthy is, well, already making waves.
Big waves.
That fourth quarter comeback against the Bears in week 1, just unbelievable. 3 touchdown drives, 10 minutes, seals the win, 27-24.
And gets NFC Offensive Player of the Week for it, right out of the gate.
Not bad for a debut.
And it wasn't just fans buzzing. Tom Brady weighed in, remember, in the SI.com piece.
Oh yeah, what did you say?
He said, I absolutely love it when I see that type of emotion. He talked about how that raw emotion can actually lock you in, bring a higher level of focus, and really elevate your teammates.
Like McCarthy after that game-sealing run. He was fired up.
Totally. That viral reaction, pure emotion. And Coach O'Connell mentioned the team voted him a captain already, said they see something in him. That's huge validation for a rookie.
It really is. And beyond the emotion, his mobility is a factor too, right? The sources mentioned that.
Definitely. It's not just scrambling. It adds a real read option threat against Atlanta's defense.
How does that change things? What does it force the Falcons to do?
Well, it means the defense has to account for McCarthy as a runner on, like, every play. Linebackers hesitate. Defensive ends have to play contain, not just rush wildly.
Opens things up elsewhere.
Yeah, it can slow down the pass rush, pull defenders out of passing lanes. And for McCarthy, if a pass isn't there, he can just tuck it and get positive yards.
Right.
Keeps the chains moving, keeps the defense guessing. It's a valuable weapon.
Now, speaking of O'Connell, the play calling.
Yeah.
The sources were pretty blunt about the start of that Bears game.
Yeah.
Basic, underneath no frills.
And did not work one bit.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems a really cautious approach, maybe trying to ease McCarthy in, but it just stalled everything out. Dink and dunk, vanilla, predictable, easy to defend.
But then things changed.
Oh, yeah. The sources say the tide began to turn when O'Connell basically let McCarthy cook.
Right, they point to that pass to Jalen Naylor. Set up the long field goal.
That was a key moment. A signal of a shift. The takeaway is clear. O'Connell has to avoid going back into that conservative shell. He needs to, as the sources put it, let it rip with McCarthy.
Trust him like a veteran.
Pretty much. Open up the playbook, let him throw downfield, embrace that aggressive confidence they showed in the comeback. That seems vital for them moving forward.
Okay, so O'Connell lets him cook. They play aggressively, but that always comes with risk, right? Which leads us to maybe the single most important stat from this deep dive.
It really is the bottom line for them.
From 3 ways the Vikings can beat the Falcons. This number is just wow.
It's incredibly stark. Since Kevin O'Connell took over in Minnesota, the Vikings are 31-3. That's a .912 winning percentage. When they win the turnover battle or are break even, 31-3. Best in the entire NFL in that situation.
Okay, but what about when they lose the turnover battle?
It completely flips. They are 4-14. Just a .22 winning percentage.
It's the everything.
It's not just a trend, it's their formula. It defines whether they look like the best team in football or, frankly, a pretty mediocre one.
Win the turnover margin, you're likely watching a Vikings win. Lose it, and it's a real uphill battle. That really highlights why Flores' defense forcing turnovers is so absolutely critical to their success.
Couldn't be clearer. Protect the ball on offense, take it away on defense. That's the blueprint.
We should probably do a quick consolidation of the injuries too, beyond the ones we've hit. They always play a role.
Sure. So for the Vikings, we mentioned Cashman is on IR, Ty Chandler too. Andrew Van Ginkel and Jeff Okudah are out with concussions for week 2. Harrison Smith was limited by illness.
But good news on Darisaw.
Yeah, Christian Darisaw is a full participant, which is huge for their O-line, even with a knee issue listed.
And for the Falcons.
We covered London and Mooney being limited, Washington out, and Billy Bowman Jr. added with that shoulder injury. So yeah, significant limitations, particularly in their receiving group.
Okay, so let's quickly recap this deep dive then. The path for a Vikings win seems pretty laid out by the sources.
It does.
Flores' defense, attacking Penix's weaknesses, exploiting that inexperience, using those disguises.
Containing Bijan Robinson, not letting him wreck the game.
O'Connell staying aggressive, letting McCarthy cook, using his mobility.
And the absolute non-negotiable, winning that turnover battle. That 31-3 stat tells the whole story.
Understanding these specific points, these strategies, hopefully helps you watch the game on Sunday night with a deeper appreciation for the chess match going on.
Absolutely. Connecting it all, this deep dive isn't just about predicting one game. It's about seeing how coaching philosophy, how player temperament, how these statistical patterns all weave together.
Yeah.
It creates a story much richer than just the scoreboard, right? You see the why behind the plays.
And it leaves us with a final thought, something for you to chew on. In these early weeks, is that raw emotion, that incredible comeback fire we saw from McCarthy, is that a sustainable foundation for a rookie QB and a team?
Or is it just a powerful but maybe fleeting spark? Something to think about as you watch week 2 unfold and see if these strategies actually play out like the sources suggest.